I checked my rearview mirror and saw a man sitting in my back seat, but when I pulled over, the car was completely empty. The drive home from the office is usually my time to decompress. I'm David, a guy who spends 10 hours a day staring at spreadsheets. I live for the mundane. I like my life predictable, quiet, and well-lit. It was a rainy Tuesday, 5 minutes from my driveway. That's when I saw him. A man, middle-aged, wearing a soaked wool coat, sitting directly behind me. His eyes were fixed on me. I slammed on the brakes. My heart felt like it was trying to punch through my ribs. I turned around, ready to fight. Nothing. Just my gym bag and an empty passenger seat. I sat there for a long time, the windshield wipers slapping back and forth. I drove the rest of the way home with the interior lights on, my hands shaking so hard I could barely grip the wheel. But when I stepped into my kitchen and set my keys on the counter, I looked at the polished chrome of the toaster. In the reflection, the man in the wet wool coat was standing in my hallway, just inches away from the locked door. The anomaly didn't stay in the reflections for long. I spent the next 3 days in a state of vibrating paranoia. I didn't see him when I looked directly at a corner, but catch a glimpse through a mirror, and there he was. The air in the house smelled like wet wool and stagnant pond water. I found damp footprints on the hardwood leading to my bed. I've rigged the house with motion sensors and infrared lights. On Thursday night, the kitchen camera triggered an alert on my phone. The footage showed the kitchen in the eerie green glow of night vision. The room was empty, but then the refrigerator door opened. A handpail, wrinkled and dripping with water, reached out and took a carton of eggs. I watched as the eggs hovered in midair. I ran to the kitchen. The floor was bone dry, but looking through the lens of my phone, the floor was covered in yolks. I realized then that I wasn't being haunted. I was being shadowed by something waiting for me to notice it. I spent hours scouring local archives. I found him in a clipping from 1994. Local architect missing after bridge collapse, alias Torne. Since 1994, 12 people had disappeared from my neighborhood, all 10 days after their first sighting. Today was day 9. Elias was standing in the living room now, holding a blueprint. He pointed to a specific spot. It was Pillar 4B. I ran to the basement. I found the pillar. I swung a sledgehammer, the sound echoing like a funeral bell. The wood splintered. Inside was a cavity, a skeletal hand, clutching a rusted locket. Inside the locket was a photo of a young boy. It was me. The basement door slammed shut. The light died. I didn't mean for it to be you, a voice whispered. It sounded like river silt. Elias appeared in the flesh, glowing with a sickly bioluminescence. His skin was translucent, showing the dark move of sludge through his veins. You've been dead since 1994, David. Why do you think the coffee is always lukewarm? He reached out and touched my chest. The basement walls began to bleed river water. It rose to my ankles, my knees. I saw the faces of other victims swirling. The water reached my chin. I didn't struggle. I didn't drown. I woke up in my car. The rain was still hitting the windshield. I got out, my legs shaky. I reached for my keys, but my pocket was empty. I looked through the window into my kitchen. Standing at the stove, frying eggs, was a man. He had my hair, my smile. He looked right through me, like I was a shadow. I looked at my hands. They were pale, wrinkled, dripping with water. My coat was heavy, gray wool, soaked to the core. The house wasn't a home. It was a lure. And I was the new phantom hitchhiker, destined to wait by the bridge. I walked back to the car and sat in the back seat. The David inside came out, got into the driver's seat, and started the engine. He glanced at the rearview mirror. I waved. He slammed on the brakes.